All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Matt Ham, co-founder of UPrint, Faith and Personal Development Organization, working collaboration here with Red Earth Marketing to bring you guys some just encouragement and inspiration and really help drive a culture of excellence here among the team all over the country where you guys are spread out to. I have been with you guys now for about 45 days, just starting to have some one-to-one conversations, and it's very encouraging for me. I know it can be awkward. If I call you, I always say, hey, there's no agenda here, just to say hello and want you guys to know that I'm a resource for the team in whatever capacity. And that comes with years of experience in both real estate sales as well as running my own book of business with an insurance agency. So I understand frontline sales very well and have moved into a role now of more of consulting and coaching. And you know, those words sometimes get a little bit wonky. So I don't say that I have any answers, but maybe some perspective and encouragement to help you guys really step into your best self and whatever that looks like here at Red Earth and the excellence that the company wants to be about. So all of that being said, good morning, and I want to dive in today to a pretty powerful topic that I think we know in our head, but we don't really practice in our hearts. And what I mean by that is something that I'm going to share today is something that it's kind of the cliche. You know, we hear the words gratitude and thankfulness and that kind of stuff, and we go, oh, yeah. But the question is do we actually practice it? Do we embody it as our character and part of our persona? And is it something that comes out of our heart? And I have to start off by saying why I chose to do this today. Yesterday, we got some really difficult news for our company. My co-founder, business partner, and dear friend, Kevin Adams, is 53 years old. He and his wife, Holly, have 3 children. And their oldest child, a son, Tyler, has a new 1-month-old grandbaby in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And yesterday morning, the grandbaby began seizuring. And so they took the child into the Vanderbilt hospital. And the child was diagnosed with a skull fracture and a brain bleed. And yesterday we just sat with the family to really rest in that place and the heaviness of what the family was up against. This is a 1-month-old little girl named Elena. And my heart broke. My heart broke for the family, for all that they're going through, for this son of theirs, Tyler, and watching his 1-month-old be on a table. They determined that the baby, that Elena, was not capable for surgery because she was in a very jeopardized condition. So she is in critical condition, but stable. They have her on some devices right now to kind of keep the pressure in her head down. And, you know, as I thought about that as a dad to 5, with our business operating, a lot of things in the demand, the crosshairs for us, we have some new potential opportunities coming in front of us and some of our charitable work with our nonprofit. You know, there's always moving parts and pieces, and I know that for you guys being on the front line sales of these great communities that you're in, you have similar challenges. And a lot of times our challenges can become these mountains in front of us that cause us to truly lose perspective. So we focus on things, that can take away our joy, certainly. And in reality, they're really not as big of an issue as we make them out to be. And so for perspective for me is just a shifted point of view. And a lot of times when I'm kind of having a pity party or a bad day, or I get mad that I lost a contract or we lost a mentoring client or whatever the case might be, you know, I think about the heaviness of some of these moments like Kevin and his wife Holly and their child Tyler and his wife Ashton are going through with their 1-month-old. I have another dear friend of mine, Claire and Matt Steiner, who had a child who's, had a seizure in utero, and she has microcephaly and cerebral palsy. And sweet Gabby is as joyful as she can be, but it's a huge demand on their family. And so when you see things around you, it's not a comparison game. It's not going, oh, well, they've got it worse than I do, or they've got it worse than I do. It's just a matter of pausing and letting it into your heart long enough to have empathy and compassion on the people around you instead of constantly having the eyes on yourself and your circumstances. And it's not something that you want to labor over. I mean, every day you turn on the news, you could look at something in the world that's tragic. Overnight last night, a tornado went through downtown Nashville and did a lot of damage. I've got some friends there, and one guy lost his entire business. So you don't want to live in the place of looking at everything that's wrong with the world. But if you're having a pity party for yourself and you're finding your joy fleeting, it's a good practice to take your eyes off yourself and have a different perspective. And so with perspective kind of being the catalyst today, I want to talk about the concept of thankfulness. I remember one of the main reasons that led me to begin writing my book and really diving into a heart and passion for encouraging people and getting into what I am doing now professionally is my wife and I were struggling through infertility for about 2.5 years. And this has been 10 years ago now. And it was a very dark place for us, but interestingly enough, we joke that the Lord has a sense of humor because when we had a son, and then when he was 8 months old, we found out we were pregnant with identical twin sons. So we had 15 children out of a barren, season within 15 months. And raising the twins for me has been the most challenging thing in my life, other than probably my personal cancer diagnosis and struggle, because there's two of them, and they're so energetic. And I'll never forget, there was a moment on my birthday where we were supposed to go see the Dave Matthews Band, and I was all excited. And I came home, and the twins were throwing up everywhere. And, of course, in our house, when one gets it, everybody gets it. And so I was so mad that we had to cancel the Dave Matthews concert because my kids were sick. I mean, I wasn't just mad. I was furious. I was livid. I mean, I was throwing a fit, like, why did we decide to have all these kids? I mean, I was a mess, And a week later, one of our sons was actually hospitalized for breathing issues, breathing troubles. He had the ER had to come, and it was just a mess. I mean, the ambulance had to come, and he had to be intubated, and had to get oxygen and stuff because his lungs were really struggling. And I remember walking into the neonatal intensive care unit, and knowing that I was complaining about my kid's stomach bug and missing a Dave Matthews concert when there were families that would not be taking their children home. And here I saw my son on oxygen and tubes and hoses and everything, and it was very humbling for me to really consider the condition of my heart that would allow me to get so angry over missing a concert. Now, whatever the issue is, whether it's missing a concert or missing a sale or a bad relationship with a client or personal struggles or whatever, there's so many things that we can allow to take our focus, take our energy, take our joy, and we just give it away to it. It's not to say that there aren't difficulties, losing loved ones and financial challenges and diagnosis and stuff. It's very, very real things that we have to navigate. The challenge is how do we continue to navigate through that? And I think perspective is a healthy start, and understanding what we do have instead of what we don't. And so what led me to begin writing was this concept of the word grateful. Grateful, grateful. That's how you spell grateful. However, I started spelling the word grateful, Greatfull, right? Grateful. And it was this reminder for me that if my life was to be great, if you want to move from just average or good to greatness, that your life has to be full of gratitude. In order for your life to be great, you have to be a person who is full of gratitude. And spelling the word that way, grateful, Greatfull, was a huge wake-up call for me. And I would encourage you guys to write this down on a sheet of paper or put it on the wall in your office. If you read my book, you'll see the fullness of the story here. But write the word grateful out, Greatfull. In order to achieve and be great in your life, you have to be full of gratitude, period. And what it did for me was allow gratitude to be, I think a lot of times we think gratitude is just, we'll be grateful. Yeah, suck it up, be grateful. And that's not what it is. It's like if grandma gives you a pair of socks for Christmas, you tell your kids, be grateful, tell grandma thank you. And the kids are like, thank you, grandma. They're not really grateful. They're just behaving because they don't want to get in trouble, just doing what you say. The difference in that kind of habitual, forced gratitude, that's fake to me. But the true type of gratitude is a heart condition of deep appreciation. And what the challenge is here, I think, is how do you move gratitude from just something you practice into your heart? And I think that requires some level of pausing, some level of meditation, some level of writing out and truly embodying what it is that you are grateful and thankful for. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people struggle with because we're so busy, we don't have time, and we fleetingly or passing by just go, yeah, okay, I'm grateful, yeah, okay, I'm grateful, thanks, but I got stuff to do. Instead of pausing and allowing your circumstances to not have power over you, because what does have power over you is how grateful you are for right where you are. And even the awareness that even if you're not in some place you want to be, even the awareness of that is something to be thankful for. I am aware that I am not in a place in my life, I'm not in a place in my career, I'm not in a place in my relationships, I'm not in a place in my spirituality, whatever, that I want to be. I am grateful for that recognition. That's a humble place that very few people get to because people are so busy and they don't take the time to pause and really let it into their heart and be aware of where they're off from, who they say and think that they are or want to be. And so there's a great story. One of my favorite sports heroes that is the unsung sport hero is not a human being at all. It's actually a racehorse named Secretariat. And Secretariat, as you guys know, was a Triple Crown winner. I think 72 was the date, something like that. And won every race by just record-shattering victories. And after Secretariat died, they did kind of an autopsy, if you will, on the animal. And they found out that Secretariat's heart was 2 times the size of the average horse's heart. His heart, his engine, was what allowed him to be so dynamically excellent and great and successful. And I've always loved Secretariat's story because it makes me question myself and say, what about the size of my heart? This might seem cushy and feel-goody and grateful and blah, blah. People can kind of be cynical about it. But the reality is that our heart and the size of our heart and the capacity of our heart to understand deep, true, sincere gratitude is the foundation for excellence and greatness in our life. I have yet to meet someone who is truly excellent and great in their life who is an angry, cynical, jaded person. They might have a lot of money, but they are miserable. It's the Ebenezer Scrooge thing, right? So we cannot measure greatness by the worldly success or, how many sales we've had or, all this kind of stuff. It literally is a heart condition. And so we have to be honest and pause. And so now back in the whole kind of train up, when I'm going through my day yesterday, I was frustrated by some difficulties that we've been having to get some folks on board here locally with some of our local events that we've been doing. And I was voicing that kind of concern to my business partner, Kevin. And then we get this call that his granddaughter, 1 month old, is having brain bleeding and seizures and is literally fighting for her life. And I thought to myself, shame on me for letting something like that get into my heart to cause me to be angry and frustrated. And it was a resetting of my perspective. And I spent yesterday afternoon and I went and walked down on to the beach and I paused and I prayed and I sought repentance and forgiveness and all these things. And I just meditated on the condition of my heart. And what I realized is that I was falling into a trap of letting gratitude take a back seat to the things that I thought I deserved. And this is kind of the final point today, and helping maybe dive into this a little bit. The opposite of gratitude to me is not being ungrateful, like not being thankful, unthankfulness, right? That's not the opposite of gratitude to me. The opposite of gratitude to me is entitlement. It's the belief that you think that you deserve something, the belief that you think that you're owed something. And that is a difficult mindset to overcome, because yes, if you work hard, then you want to have and see results. But once you start to attach an expectation to an outcome, then you're giving away your capacity for gratitude to the circumstances of that outcome. And, so many people right now, oh, the stock market's great. And, I think about literally the Corona Beer Company. I read an article the other day. The Corona Beer Company has lost $150 million in the last month because of the coronavirus. Now, who in the world would have thought that they would name a virus, the coronavirus, that would affect a dynamic company like that to the tune of $150 million? You couldn't predict it. But when you place your hope in all this stuff and you begin to expect all these things and they don't happen, well, of course you're going to be upset. Of course you're not going to have gratitude. Of course your life's going to be less than great, because you've given away your joy to the circumstances instead of knowing that you don't have expectations, that you just get to be and to live from a place of freedom and gratitude, and stop placing expectations on people and on the world. And I think that this is something that is next level, that most folks don't want to take the time to press into. But for those who will, for those who would let themselves be honest enough to look at the condition of their heart, to question the size of their heart, and not defend themselves, and be honest to go, man, am I operating my life from a place of deep, sincere gratitude and thankfulness? Am I choosing to look at my circumstances from a fresh perspective? Am I choosing to see joy and opportunity in situations? Or am I somebody who is expecting things of people, placing demands on my circumstances, and then throwing a hissy fit when it doesn't go the way that I want it to go? It's not to be down-putting to the reality of difficulty. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to have difficult days. But we can't live in the mode of difficulty and entitlement and expectation. We have to live from a mode of gratitude. So, how do you do this? Well, I think that it begins with honest reflection, number one. You have to be willing to slow down, hit pause, and look in the mirror and really do the self-reflection. In fact, until folks are willing to do that, you can't move beyond it. Because, I had a gentleman I used to work for, and man, he was probably one of the most cynical people that I've ever met. Just, he was like Eeyore, Okay, poo. You remember Eeyore, right? The one that just always had a bad attitude. And just grumpy and just, And it hurts my heart because all of that was from his past. There's a lot of crap that had happened in his past that he carried into his present, but it just kept him from experiencing joy. But the more I was around him and the more he was robbing me of joy, I was like, wait a second. What am I doing giving away my joy and energy and gratitude to this guy over here who's grumpy? And so I think there's a couple of thoughts there. Number one is he wasn't willing to look at his own self in the mirror and see the condition. Number two, for me, is I did not need to spend time around people like that suck the energy and life and joy out of the room. And so you've got to be someone who brings the life and energy and joy, and not give yourself away to people who want to just vacuum it out. So that's one construct. The second construct, I think, is the practice of truly pausing to express your deep gratitude. We encourage a lot of our one-to-one clients and mentoring clients to keep a gratitude journal and to actually write out things that they're thankful for. Start each day from that place. And that's something that it sounds cliche, But if you begin to do it, it begins to transform the way you see. And when you transform the way you see, it has the capacity to change your heart. If you don't change what you see, it can't change your heart. And so I think the final piece here is understanding that this is a heart issue. It's not a habit issue. It's not creating better practices. It's not 4 steps to better gratitude. It's letting your heart be changed so that you carry around the essence of gratitude and joy instead of entitlement and frustration and all the other stuff. And so the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to open up the mics if you guys have any questions, is this morning, my wife, we did not have a great night's sleep because our 6-month-old decided that she wanted to be up. And so when my wife got up this morning, she was grumpy. She was like, oh, just a long night, that kind of thing. And I challenged her. I said, babe, think about what you're saying. Think about the condition of your heart right now. And think about baby Elena. You've got a 6-month-old who's healthy, who just happened to be up a little bit last night. Pause for a minute. Let it into your heart. And she knows me well enough to know not to get defensive and all that kind of stuff. And she said, you're right. I need to get my heart right, not my mind right. You get your mind right all day, it'll change. You got to get your heart right. And so that's where we are. That's what's on my heart today to share with you guys. I hope in some way it encourages you, provides a fresh perspective. And with that being said, if anybody has any questions or anything they want to share, feel free. You can unmute your mics and you guys can share it out. I'm happy to answer any questions, maybe address a couple of situations that you guys are facing or something like that. And if nobody pops out, then I will just kind of wrap up. But feel free to unmute for those who are on the call live.
I appreciate your statements about joy. That's a conversation I have with my boys all the time, that
Mm-hmm.
there's an enormous difference between joy and happiness. And it's a busy world, and many, many days have a lot of stuff that's not great. And it's hard to be happy in those circumstances. But if there's joy, it's a little easier to find, and it keeps us going.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Kim. Thanks for sharing. The difference between happiness and joy is a big one, and that's actually something that I address in the book. To me, joy is a byproduct of knowing truth and a byproduct of choosing gratitude. If we can choose gratitude, joy can be a conduit of our life. It doesn't mean that there won't be moments of sadness or mourning and all that kind of stuff, but joy is something deeper, and it's something that cannot be taken away from us unless we give it away. And it's like this. It's like joy is a fruit. I've got an apple here. Joy is a fruit that is born when we just kind of yield and abide in a tree. So the apple doesn't have to be produced. The apple tree doesn't go, here's an apple. Joy's not like that. Joy is the byproduct of just being in the moment, knowing who you are confidently, not giving yourself away to entitlement or anger or frustration. And it's this peace element. When we have this peace and centeredness, joy is just produced. And so, again, big, high-minded topic or whatnot. But today my main focus was really practicing what gratitude looks like and being honest about the condition of the heart and making a choice. Like anybody who's on this call or anybody who's watching now, you and I, we all have a decision right now to put a stake in the ground and say, I am no longer going to give my energy and emotions away to circumstances. I am going to own the territory of my heart, and I'm not going to let this crap in. If you are, I don't know that you are or not, but I'm tired of living angry. I'm tired of living stressed. I'm tired of living frustrated. I am going to make changes now. And you can. You can own this. You can step into greatness. You don't have to live in this hamster wheel cycle of frustration. But until someone gets to that position, not a whole lot's going to change. You can put a Band-Aid on a skin cut. You can't put Band-Aid on cancer. Gratitude is about a heart issue. Joy is about a heart issue that you got to go to the source, you got to go to the root, and you've got to be freed from stuff so that you can experience it. And so, again, my heart today is just to say, hey, double check this in the mirror. Think about where perspective could take shifting, and then ask yourself some difficult questions. And if you want more joy, if you want more thankfulness, we can begin to step in it, into it. As always, if anybody wants to talk one-to-one, I am here to do that, but I really appreciate those who jumped on the call live. Know that I'm here for you guys in any way, capacity, and I do think that this is something that could unlock exponential growth in your life and in your business when you really begin to understand the capacity for gratitude, perspective, and the heart transformation thing. So thank you all for jumping on today. If nobody has anything else, we'll wrap up. But I appreciate you guys. I'm here for you, and I hope you guys have an incredible week. Thanks again.
Thank you.